And as you can see here, literally every weapon in the game is better than this Kaizaar weapon. Hey guys, Criticcaster here, and today we're going to talk about the attack limit or attack cap that is in New Genesis. What do I mean by this? Well, I'll be showing a few examples and kind of like some formulas and I guess like scary math to go along with it. So starting off here, we are on the ARC's Visiphone website, which I've used plenty of times, and we're at the bottom of the damage calculation page, where they talk about the attack limit. So here they add a couple things in blue here to the usual damage calculation formula, where it just adds like another nested formula inside, where it's basically capping your attack and weapon attack slash variance inside. So basically, to show off what I mean by this is like at certain levels, your attack power that you have in game is limited. So like if you're facing a level 1 enemy, you can only have a 900 attack apply to that enemy. So if you are over that limit, it's just wasted or essentially just not used when it's calculating damage. But then as you go down the list, you can see that, you know, as the enemy levels increase, so does this attack limit. So basically, once you get to a certain amount with the current equipment, basically you won't see this attack at the higher levels. But once you get to around like 45 or so, you're going to start getting capped with like a Kaizaar weapon and being level 60. For my testing here, I'll be using the limited time quest with the 10th anniversary event, and then I'll be using a Kaizaar weapon versus a relic weapon. So with the Kaizaar weapon, I have 2059 attack with a 74.7% potency for it, and then with the relic, I have 1764 attack and 74.3% potency. So a little bit less potency here, but the potential itself actually has way more potency than the Kaizaar. So let's actually get into this quest. As you can see here, I'm in the quest now, and I'm going to be comparing the katana's normal attack between the two weapons. So first is the relic weapon. Try to hit this guy. The 321, 321, 321. So as you can see there, it's all the same numbers. And then for Kaizaar, 356 on a crit, so that's more, but you get extra critical hit damage. Then we hit him again at 297. As you see, that's actually lower than the relic weapon's attack. 297, so let me switch back to the relic here. Yeah, 321. So that's almost like a 30 damage difference just from the normal attack. Show it off again, and there you go, 297 versus 321. So as you guys saw there, the relic was actually doing more damage every time in comparison to the Kaizaar weapon. This applies to all of its attacks, all of the PAs, the weapon action counter, everything. So the reason for this is because of this attack limit and because of these weapons' potentials. So when you look at the potentials here, the vigorous unit that I have on my relic has 27% potency. And then my Kaizaar weapon with tempered form only has 17%. So even though your attack power stat is being limited, your potency is not. So that's why when your attack power is capped like this at these lower levels, it's actually better to have just a weapon that has higher potency. So this could be a Straga, this can be a relic, you know, it can be even an evil coat, you know, just anything that's better than what you're currently using, even though that is, quote unquote, you know, like one of the best weapons in the game right now. Just to show this even further, Millie underscore PSO2 on Twitter here made a couple charts here comparing Kaizaar to the rest of the weapons in the game against these level 17 enemies. And as you can see here, literally every weapon in the game is better than this Kaizaar weapon. The only instance where it isn't sometimes is the Rock Sixiums, which is another like crit rate weapon, but like all these other weapons have better potency than the Kaizaar. It's just like that low. Yeah, this attack limit's just kind of funny just looking at all this. I kind of understand why, because like Sega doesn't want you to just completely just doghouse on all of the previous enemies. But at the same time, it just makes your, future weapons feel way less powerful when you're facing these lower level enemies. So things that you actually probably want to use are things that I mentioned, like Relic, Straga, Evil Coat, even the Satchel series against mobs, because that's a high percentage here. And of course, higher fixes make it better. But yeah, it's just crazy to see. But moving back to the game here, because I think you guys got the point. Uh, like when did this Kaizaar actually become, usable again with the levels? Well, when you're level 60, your attack power with this Kaizaar is 2059. Kind of give or take based on your class and stuff because they have different attack powers. But going back to the chart that we saw in the Arc's Visiphone here, so we just got to kind of compare what level that is actually at. So that is actually basically around level 45, where it is 2082, because 44 is a little bit under that battle power. But of course, with that though, there isn't like a weapon that is necessarily close to Kaizaar that kind of meets up with that next attack power line. So actually, Kaizaar is probably the best weapon around like level 40 and above. So anything below that though, in like Retem or Alio, even sometimes in Kaizaar itself, you want to be using these other weapons like this Relic, Straga, etc. to actually do, proper damage or even more damage against these enemies. Now that that's kind of squared away, I want to talk about why my damage numbers were the same with my attacks for both the Kaizaar and the Relic. So looking back at the formula here, you can see that weapon attack is multiplied by its variance, and then you add the player attack. So the player attack is actually added to your damage first, and then it's your weapon attack. So when it comes to capping, your player attack comes into play first. So if your player attack is actually below this number, then you won't see any variance of any kind because your weapon attack isn't being factored in. So in game here, when I have no weapon equipped, my attack power is 1388 as a level 60 Braver. So when we reference back to the chart, you can see here that the weapon attack doesn't come into play until level 24. So let's actually go test that out. So I went to a place with level 24 enemies, and that is the Alio Devastator's rank 1 version, or the Purple Battle Dia in Alio. So I'm going to be using the normal attacks, just like I did in the other test, and we'll see if the damage varies. So we got the Bujin here. I'll hit for 162 with the Kaizaar. 62 again. Well, that was 194, but that was because of a crit. 162. 162. So I'm actually not varying my damage. Let's see if this is the truth for this as well. And 175, 175. Alright, so my damage actually does not vary there with these weapons still. So what's actually going on here? So going back to this attack limit formula, you can see here that weapon attack is multiplied by variance. So by default, like a Relic is 75% minimum to 100%, and a Kaizaar is 50% to 100%. So what this means here is that we're still below the minimum variance. So with the Kaizaar, it adds like 600 some attack, so 50% of that is like 300 some. So you have to actually add that on top of your player attack to actually get to the point of where you'll actually start varying your damage. So I actually calculated these out for a clean Relic and a clean Kaizaar. So for the Kaizaar, it is 1724. That means at level 36, I should start seeing varying damage. And then with the Relic, it is 1670. So at level 34, I should start seeing varying damage. But keep in mind, if you do add augments with floor potency on it, it can also vary this number as well, because your minimum starts rising, so this will also start increasing where it gets capped off. But there's a million different scenarios with all of these different weapons, augments, that add floor potency, etc. It can change in a matter of moments. And as we increase our level, our attack power keeps getting capped off just based off our player attack, so that affects it too. But if you were to take anything away from this video, basically with the lower levels or where your attack power is capped, just use high potency potentials for your weapons and just keep adding potency on to your gear, because that will keep affecting your damage while this extra attack power will not. Hopefully this helped you guys understand this more though, and if you have not subscribed yet already, please consider doing so, because these take a lot of work. So I'd greatly appreciate that, and consider checking out my Twitch channel, which goes under the same name, Kaizaar Q. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.